Question we're looking into today: does the president's comment using the N-word hurt or help race relations in this country?
Joining us now to talk about this is Marquia Chamblee, an associate provost for diversity and inclusion and chief diversity officer at Wayne State University, and Bankole Thompson, senior editor at the Michigan Chronicle, joining us both on the Now.
We want to thank both of you for being with us. Marquia, let's begin with you. Your thoughts on the president using that word?
I think the main issue that I want to pay attention to is not so much the president's use of the word as much as it is the comments that he made surrounding the use of the word. My fear is that some of the more substantive things that he talked about in terms of the issues that really confront us regarding race and racism in the current society will get lost by the fact that he used the word. I don't know that him using the word is going to hurt race relations the way I see it right now.
Did you cringe when you heard it, or did you, like you said, try to listen to the whole thing and say, no, okay, I see some point in this?
I cringed a little bit when I heard it, but again, you know, if you listen to the entire podcast, you hear a lot of really in-depth conversation about some of the challenges that we face. And what I'm afraid of is all of that, the substance of what he said will be lost in all of the attention that he'll face for having used the word. I cringed a little bit because I knew that it would get that kind of scrutiny.
Bankole, what do you think? Did it help or hurt race relations?
Well, I think it helps race relations. I think let's look at the pecking order here. You have the President of the United States. You have the first African-American president using the N-word contextually to really bring to the forefront the issue of race and racism. So I think it was important that the president used it, and because he used it in a very effective, in a very powerful way. The fact that we're talking about it across the country, that means that it was effective. And it's about time, you know, many people in what I call the black intelligentsia, you know, have been wanting this president to really put his finger on the issue of race and racism. He could not do it in his first term, so the second time we're seeing Obama himself, almost a critical race theory thinker, putting his finger on this issue. And I think it's important to hear the president himself put this issue contextually. Now, the N-word we know has been used, you know, as a term of affection, you know, in the hip-hop generation and so forth, but the origins of the word itself clearly has a derogatory image or impact on African Americans and black people in general. But to have now the President of the United States trying to force what we call a national conversation on race and using the N-word as an indication, I think it is very effective, and I'm glad that the President used it, and I'm glad that we're talking about it in the backdrop of what happened in South Carolina, in Charleston, those 9 lives. I mean, if we are honest with ourselves, I think we can begin to attack this structural system of racism that we have in pockets around the country, because Obama himself, you know, by virtue of his presidency, he's been able to get a lot of people have come out, people who don't like the president, who have never wanted African Americans to make progress. They've seen Obama as a lightning rod, and so his very presence in the White House in itself is a lightning rod in this country, and that's what we saw manifest in South Carolina, and there are pockets in this country where that exists.
You know, we certainly are talking about it, right, and that is some good that can come of it, but you said something about, and I can't remember exact words you used, but it was a term of something in hip-hop. Don't you think, though, that that word needs to stop being used in hip-hop and everywhere? You can't have 2 rules for that word, correct?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's the hip-hop generation, again, that's an entire conversation, though, because the hip-hop generation comes out of a struggle. It comes out of, you know, limited opportunities in the black community. It comes out of what we call the ghettos. And the hip-hop generation, they've used the N-word as a term of affection to really, you know, almost like poetry to explain their conditions, to explain what they're going through. But obviously, that doesn't mean that, you know, the N-word should be used in general.
Yeah. And I know we are out of time. We do appreciate both of you coming in. Wish we could have talked longer. Marquia Chamblee and Bankole Thompson, thanks to both of you.
Thank you.